There are moments in life when time stops, not because the world itself slows down, but because your heart beats so hard, so painfully, that it feels like the entire universe is holding its breath. For Emma Carter, that moment came in the crowded chaos of an airport terminal. With her young daughter's tiny hand clutched in hers, a tattered suitcase dragging behind her, and exhaustion weighing down every bone in her body, she looked up, and her breath froze. Across the gleaming polished floor, standing tall and commanding in a tailored suit that screamed success, was the man she had once loved more than life itself. Daniel Hayes. Her first love. The boy who had once held her hand under the stars and promised forever. The boy who had left for bigger dreams, while she was left behind with broken promises and a baby no one knew about. And now, there he was. But this was not the Daniel she remembered. This was a man transformed, confident, powerful, untouchably successful. He wasn't the struggling dreamer from her past anymore. He was a CEO, a man the world would probably bow to, a man whose name might already be written in newspapers she could never afford to buy. If you believe in second chances, in the power of kindness, and in the magic of life's unexpected reunions, then pause for a moment, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Story Nest. Because this is not just a story, it's a reminder that love and destiny sometimes wait for the right moment to reappear. Emma's life had never been easy. She was only 19 when she first held her daughter, Lily, in her arms. She remembered how tiny Lily's fingers had curled around hers, how she had felt both terrified and fiercely protective. The father of her child, Daniel, had already left by then. He hadn't abandoned her knowingly, he had gone to chase opportunities in another city, unaware of the life growing inside Emma. Too proud, too scared, too heartbroken, Emma never told him. She raised Lily alone, working endless shifts at diners, cleaning houses, doing whatever job she could find just to keep food on the table. Years rolled on, and the young girl who once had dreams of painting and traveling the world now measured her life in overdue bills and nights spent crying quietly so her daughter wouldn't hear. There were times she wanted to give up, times she hated the cruel unfairness of life, but every time Lily would smile up at her with innocent faith, Emma found the strength to keep going. Love, she realized, wasn't always a grand gesture, it was packing school lunches, sewing up torn shoes, and walking in the rain to save bus fare. And so, when Emma found herself in the airport that day, she wasn't going anywhere glamorous. She was simply moving back home to her mother's small town, defeated after losing yet another job and unable to pay rent. She hated herself for it. She hated that Lily, now 7 years old, had to watch her mother stumble through life. But she had no other choice. She was too tired of fighting a battle she always seemed to lose. That was when fate intervened. The airport was crowded with business travelers, tourists, and families. Lily tugged at her hand, asking questions with the innocence only a child could carry. Emma tried to smile, but her mind was already heavy with worries of what came next. And then she looked up. And there he was. Daniel stood near a private lounge entrance, surrounded by assistants who spoke into headsets and carried sleek briefcases. He was taller, sharper, more commanding than the boy she had once loved. His hair was neatly styled, his watch gleamed with quiet power, and his very presence drew people's attention. Emma felt her chest tighten painfully. Memories rushed back, of stolen kisses in high school hallways, of whispered dreams, of promises made under the stars. But those dreams had been shattered long ago, replaced by the crushing reality of single motherhood. Emma panicked. She turned her face away, pulling Lily closer. The last thing she wanted was for Daniel to see her like this, worn out, broke, with a child at her side. She felt shame gnawing at her insides. What would he think? That she had failed. That she was weak. That she was nothing. But fate wasn't done. As Emma walked past, Lily's little shoe slipped off, and she stumbled, falling right in front of Daniel. Emma bent down quickly, mortified, trying to gather her daughter. And then she heard a voice she hadn't heard in years, deep, steady, and unforgettable. Emma. Her heart stopped. She looked up slowly, and their eyes met. In that single moment, time truly froze. His expression shifted from surprise to disbelief to something softer, something achingly familiar. Emma tried to speak but couldn't. She muttered a polite smile, a nod, and hurried away. But Daniel didn't let it go. He excused himself from his entourage and followed her, his voice calling her name again. She walked faster, trembling, her mind screaming at her to escape. But deep inside, another voice whispered, "He deserves to know." That night, back in her cheap motel room, Emma lay awake. Lily was curled beside her, asleep, her tiny hand resting on Emma's arm. Emma's heart ached with confusion. Should she have told him? Should she keep running? What if Daniel hated her for never saying anything? What if he wanted nothing to do with them? But what if he cared? The next morning, Emma's world turned upside down. She was checking out of the motel when a sleek black car pulled up outside. Daniel stepped out, his eyes searching until they found hers. She froze, her heart pounding so loudly she thought he could hear it. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Daniel didn't just want answers, he demanded them. Emma finally broke down and told him everything, about Lily, about the years she had struggled, about the nights she had cried alone wishing he was there. Her voice shook as she admitted she had been too scared to reach out, too afraid of rejection. Daniel listened in stunned silence, his expression unreadable, until his gaze fell on Lily. The little girl smiled shyly, and in that smile, he saw his own reflection. Something broke inside him. And something healed, too. Daniel wasn't just a CEO with money and power, he was still the boy who had once loved Emma deeply. And when he learned he had a daughter, his heart shifted. In the weeks that followed, he showed Emma and Lily a side of himself that success had never erased. He attended Lily's school events, took her on walks in the park, listened to her stories. He wasn't trying to buy love, he was trying to build it. And slowly, Emma's walls began to crumble. But it wasn't easy. Emma wrestled with guilt, with fear, with the scars of her struggles. Could she really trust him again? Could she risk her heart one more time? The answer came one rainy evening when Lily fell sick with a high fever. Emma was terrified, rushing her to the hospital with trembling hands. Daniel was there in minutes, not just with resources but with unwavering presence. He held Emma as she cried, whispered that she wasn't alone anymore, and promised he would never walk away again. In that moment, Emma realized something powerful. She had been strong for so long, carrying everything alone. But love, true love,